Hey there, my friends. Teresa here, back with another um, session like this to support you through what are indeed challenging times that we're all facing. And today I want to talk with you about the emptiness. Maybe you felt it. Maybe you couldn't even name it, but there's just an empty feeling within you. Empty. Empty of all of the activities that have comprised so much of your life for so long, empty of the social connections and the connecting with people, emptied from the can't go places and do things that had been so much a part of your normal life. Empty, maybe just feeling people's sadness, those who have lost loved ones, those who will lose loved ones. And here's the thing about emptiness and that feeling of emptiness. We don't like to feel it, especially here in America. In fact, you might not have even wanted to feel it or admitted it. You might be avoiding it right now, filling your day with all sorts of activities, checking in on people, helping people, cleaning your garage, cleaning your house, getting this done, just kind of replacing the old to-do list with a new to-do list. Out in the world to-do list has been replaced by our shelter at home to-do list. And there's nothing the matter with doing those things. And are you avoiding the emptiness? Because here's the thing about emptiness. And no, my mic didn't suddenly stop working. Yep, this is still going. I'm still here. I just wanted to give you a minute experience of emptiness, like the um, the news stream goes silent, the volume goes silent, the talking stops, the activity stops. And how you might have responded to that, especially if I had gone longer, is at first you might have been really curious, kind of like leaning forward, what's going on, what's going on. But the longer you had been with it, probably you would have started to feel uncomfortable, because that emptiness feels like we're empty. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't like to feel empty any more than you probably do. Now, the truth is, we're not empty. Good morning, Danette. One of the reasons why I started to create these videos, and I called them Anchored in Abundance, is because in this time of what oftentimes seems like a bunch of scarcity that people are experiencing, it's really important we anchor ourselves in abundance. And I don't mean abundance as in I have plenty of money. I mean abundance as it was originally understood, like the original blueprint for all of creation. It's the recognition that we're part of something bigger than us. And that something, thank God, no pun intended, is loving, empowering, resourceful, creative, generous, intelligent, eternal. And you may call that God, you may call that spirit, you may call that universe, you may call that source, whatever name, but we're part of something bigger Here's the thing. That very something bigger, this divine presence that created this entire cosmos, is also in us. It's in us. We are not empty, but stripped of so much of our activity and doing and all the things that have created our identity of like, oh, this is who I am and this is what I do and this is the role I play and all of that. It feels like we're empty. But all of that doing, all of those roles, all of that activity, that's not who we are at our core. And that's the potential gift if you're willing to embrace that thing that feels like emptiness, this like the collapse of all those familiar activities and roles and tasks. If you're willing to like stay at home, but have that home be inside of you, there's two great gifts that I can think of right now that emptiness offers you. First is the one that is called Sabbath time. Now, I grew up in as a Catholic, Western Christian religion, and in our world today, our modern society, Sabbath is oftentimes associated with going to church. And it's about worshiping God. But that's not the original understanding of Sabbath, and why Sabbath was one of the 10 commandments in the Hebrew scripture and Christian scripture. See, Sabbath, like that's one of the commandments, many theologians say, because you got to understand what was happening with the Jewish people before those commandments were issued, including the one inviting them into Sabbath day. Yes, it was part of the original blueprint. We have one of the creation stories that God created for 6 days, and on the seventh day, God rested. Yeah, that's part of the original Sabbath story. But the other part is, the Israelites for generations had been slaves in Egypt. And as slaves in Egypt, they were the bricklayers and the brick makers. They built the pyramid. And their whole worth and identity was locked into their production, because as slaves, the more they could produce, the better they were treated. The kind of like they had a caste system within slavery. It's like you got extra perks if you were like a good producer and you accomplished a lot, and they worked 7 days a week. Now, if this happens for generations and your whole worth is measured by what you produce and what you do, and you get perks if you can do more and more. Wow. You think that's the way it is. You get really identified with what you can do. And then carry that forward into our world. Suddenly all that doing has been stripped from us. And we're left going, well, who the heck am I now? That's what Sabbath is about. It was never about going to church. It was never about praising God. That we're supposed to do every day. It was about stopping work, stopping activity, stopping all that doing, stopping the producing, so that you could enter into that emptiness and remember you're not empty. Remember that the God who created this cosmos is giving life to you and dwells within you. It was a time to remember who you are and whose you are, and that your worth is inherent. It's not dependent upon what you do. We in our culture are a lot like those Israelites, the Jewish people back then. because we've really bought into our production and what we can do and all the activities and all of that. That's what makes us valuable. That's what makes us important. That's what makes us worthy, which is why, stripped of us, so many of us are either just totally lost, depressed, sad, don't know what to do with ourselves, or we're just, replacing one to-do list with another to-do list, and we're still trying to produce and accomplish. The gift of entering into the emptiness is you can realize and connect with again, you're not empty. You can begin to experience yourself separate from what you do. And you can open up to the possibility like, wow, my worth is not about what I have and what I do and how much money I make or any of that. It's in here. It comes from within. Now, the second gift of the emptiness, if you're willing to be with it, if you're willing, even though it feels uncomfortable, to actually fully embrace this opportunity for doing so much less and not necessarily binging on Netflix, but I mean, really having time to do nothing, to be still, to rest, to sit out on your deck or in your couch or go for a walk if you can safely. Like, stop all the doing and enter into this emptiness that may feel uncomfortable. The other thing is, there's something that's wanting to emerge from it. One of the ancient principles of spirituality and prosperity recognize it's also a natural law that nature abhors, like cannot stand a vacuum. Like there's no vacuum that will remain a vacuum in nature. As soon as space is empty, something will come in and fill it. This may be what you're doing with emptiness. I'm filling it. But if you're willing to hold that space and not fill it, that space of connection to the deeper truth of who you are, what you may discover is something is wanting to emerge. Some new expression of yourself, maybe some new direction in your life, maybe something new you want to create, maybe a dream or a desire, maybe some truth about yourself that you have resisted. But you won't hear it if you're busy all the time and avoiding the emptiness, because our spirits, our souls, they don't shout at us. They don't, have neon signs. Here's the way. That's not the way it works. That's the way our minds work, our egos work. You know what I'm talking about? The wheeling like this. But our spirits, they're more shy. They're quieter. Even in the Old Testament, there's the story of how God wasn't in the noisy thunderstorm or the earthquake or the fire, but in this small, still, gentle voice or breeze that you can't hear unless you're willing to be still. Feel empty. Not know where this is going, but know that something's wanting to emerge new from it. And so I invite you, whether it's through these videos or throughout your day, can you carve out pockets of time, even if it's just 5 minutes here or there, where you actually give yourself permission to sit, be still, do nothing, not have to accomplish anything, and not even have to check out, but to just be with yourself. Because, my friends, you are not empty. You are filled with light and love and life. And it has nothing to do with what you do or what you have. It's with it's about who you are. The fact that you're here, that you've been given this gift of life, that you are an expression, a unique expression of the divine. And if you get itches, bitches, and twitches, as my clients like to call it, being still, that's okay. That's because this is new. We're not used to it. We're not used to it. We are so in our society caught up in the doing and the producing and the consuming and the busyness that we've lost the ability, unless we've consciously practiced it. And I'm not even saying to meditate. I'm asking you to do nothing, to dare to enter into what feels like emptiness, silence, and discover it's not empty at all. And neither are you, my friend. Now, to support you with this, we're going to spend 1 minute right now. Hey, Mark, glad you could join. We're going to spend 1 minute here right now together, being still, being empty, empty airwaves here together. And then I will end this video, but I would invite you to stay in that spot for another 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 minutes and notice if it feels uncomfortable. Yeah, I got it. And don't give in to that impulse to fill it, to get up and start doing. Because in that emptiness, my friend, well, it's not empty. I just got one more piece just from that moment of being empty here with you, being still. I got 2 things. First of all, that every moment we practice emptying ourselves. With every exhale, it's an emptying. And in the very next moment, we are filled again. We are filled again. We are filled again. And even as that oxygen is flowing in and out, we're still not empty because there's the oxygen that's coursing through our veins and our bloodstream. But I was just struck that in some respects, we do know how to empty ourselves because we do it every moment. And that's what opens us to the new life that wants to come through. And the other piece that I just got in that empty time is, and that oxygen is here for us. We didn't have to earn it. We didn't have to deserve it. We didn't have to make it happen. It has nothing to do with that doing. It's the gift we're given because we are here. We are alive. But we have to empty ourselves to receive it. And so emptying, my friends, being willing to empty is really the opening for new life. Blessings on your day. Be well, be safe, be here in stillness and emptiness for another few minutes. Okay? Bye.